Solving Family Issues Part 2. Introduction to the module. This module explains about issues relating to separation, divorce, and parental responsibility and the impact they have on children and families. You will learn how you can help to support children in these situations and how to approach discussing these complicated topics with children. Topics to be covered in this module are: how to help children deal with divorce or separation of their parents, defining parental responsibility and who it is given to, how the law decides on contact with children, talking about difficult topics with children, books to assist with having difficult conversations with children and teenagers. Separation, divorce, and parental responsibility. When families are going through a separation or divorce, children must have the necessary support during what can be a traumatic time for them. Helping children with divorce or separation. Every day thousands of children are affected by their parents divorcing or separating. Their reactions will depend upon the circumstances, the child's personality and age. To help children during this challenging time, you will need to tell them that you are there for them, and they can freely talk about how they feel with you, and reassure them that it's normal to feel the way they do, whether it's angry, confused, or sad, and not to blame themselves. Answer any questions they have, and listen to them. Talk honestly to them, however, take into account the child's age and understanding of the situation. Reassure them that their parents love them. Avoid talking about any negative feelings the parents may have towards each other. Help them stick to any routines, such as school, appointments, and mealtimes. What is parental responsibility? Parental responsibility refers to the legal rights, responsibilities, and authority all mothers and, most, fathers have, whether they are separated or not. Parental responsibilities are as follows: providing a safe home, protecting the child, naming the child and agreeing to any name changes, day-to-day decisions about their care and upbringing, agreeing to medical treatment for the child, providing an education, choosing how to discipline, looking after the child's property. Parents also must make sure the child is financially looked after, regardless of whether they have parental responsibility or not. Parental responsibility for separated parents. If a parent has parental responsibility for a child, but doesn't live with them, they don't automatically have the right to spend time with their children. However, the other parent needs to involve them when they make important decisions about the child's life. The regular day-to-day decisions don't always need approval from the other parent. For big decisions, such as a parent moving to a different location with the child, both parents who have responsibility need written approval. If the parents are unable to agree, they can apply for a specific issue order or prohibited steps order. Then a judge will decide what is best for the child. Who has parental responsibility? Usually, both parents jointly take on the responsibility of the child, including if the child is adopted. A mother automatically gains parental responsibility and will still keep it if she gets divorced. A father automatically gains parental responsibility. This applies whether the father was married to the mother when the child was conceived or at any time after. He also will not lose parental responsibility if he gets divorced. An unmarried father does not automatically gain parental responsibility. His rights and responsibilities depend on the law in that country. In England and Wales, an unmarried father can gain parental responsibility by getting married to the mother of the child, or entering into a civil partnership, registering his name on the child's birth certificate jointly with the mother at the time of birth, or re-registering, if his name is not already on it, after 01/12/2003. Creating a parental responsibility agreement with the child's mother and having it recorded in court. Getting a parental responsibility order from the court. Already gaining a residence order before 22/04/2014. Having his name as the resident parent under a child arrangements order. Being given guardianship if the mother dies. In Northern Ireland, for children born before 15/04/2002, an unmarried father not listed on their child's birth certificate can gain parental responsibility by getting married to the mother of the child, getting a parental responsibility order from the court, creating a parental responsibility agreement with the child's mother and having it recorded in court, being given guardianship if the mother dies, gaining a residence order from the court. In Northern Ireland, for children born after 15/04/2002, doing any of the things already mentioned above. Registering his name on the child's birth certificate jointly with the mother at the time of birth, or re-registering, if his name is not already on it. In Scotland, for children born before 4 May 2006, an unmarried father not listed on their child's birth certificate can gain parental responsibility by getting married to the mother of the child, getting a parental responsibilities and parental rights order from the court, creating a parental responsibilities and parental rights agreement with the child's mother, which is signed by them both, and then registered in the public record of the books of council and session. Being given guardianship if the mother dies. Gaining a residence order from the court. In Scotland, for children born after 4 May 2006. Doing any of the things already mentioned above. Registering his name on the child's birth certificate jointly with the mother at the time of birth, or re-registering, if his name is not already on it. Stepmothers or fathers do not automatically gain parental responsibility. Grandparents do not automatically gain parental responsibility. Parents of the same gender. Civil partners both gain parental responsibility if they were civil partners when the procedure happened, such as fertility treatment or donor insemination. Non-civil partners, parental responsibility can be given to the second parent too by applying for it, if a parental agreement was done. Alternatively, they can become a civil partner of the other parent and sign a parental responsibility agreement, or they can register the birth in both their names. Separation, divorce, and contact. When parents get separated or divorced, the issue arises of who the children will be in contact with and how. Children have the right to be in contact with both parents, unless it could be damaging to them. Agreeing on contact. Deciding who the child will live with and the type of contact they will have with the other parent is based upon 3 different factors. Contact arrangements, family mediation, child arrangements order. 1. Contact arrangements. The parent who lives with the child and the other parent will need to make contact arrangements. These need to be discussed together and need to be focused upon what's in the child's best interest. Ideally, they will agree on this themselves, without involving going to court, which is expensive, stressful and time-consuming. Families can gain assistance with organizing contact from the National Association of Child Contact Centers. This will provide a meeting point for the parent who the child doesn't live with and other family members to see the child without having to see the other parent. This helps avoid conflict in a safe, neutral environment. 2. Family mediation. Family mediation is necessary if parents can't agree on contact arrangements. A mediator is a trained professional who is independent of the family. They will help parents try to resolve issues and come to a legally binding agreement instead of going to court. Parents may be entitled to legal aid to fund the mediation. 3. Child Arrangements Order. If mediation is not successful, then as a last resort, either parent can apply for a child arrangements order, previously called a contact order, through the court. Parents must prove that they have tried mediation and should get specialist legal advice from a family lawyer or contact their local Citizens Advice Bureau. A child arrangements order is a legal agreement that states who the child lives with, who can have contact with the child, how often and for how long contact visits with the child will be. A Children and Family Court Advisory and Support Service, CAFCAS, officer have to be seen before a judge's ruling. They will try and find a way for the parents to come to a compromise, but if all else has failed, a judge will decide the child arrangements order. The CAFCAS officer and the judge will always be thinking primarily of the best and most risk-free result for the child. How the court decides on child contact. The child's best interest needs to be put first. Every situation is different. The court considers various essential factors, such as the child's age, gender, and background, the child's emotional, physical, and educational needs, if there is any risk of harm, how the child feels and what they want, the consequences of the child's circumstances changing, parents' ability in terms of fulfilling the child's needs. What the law says about child contact. These are some common questions that the law addresses, such as: can a child refuse to spend time with a parent? A child doesn't have to see the other parent, the one they don't live with, if they don't want to. However, if there is a court order in place, the parent needs to keep to the agreed plans. You must find out from the child what the problem is before deciding to stop contact between a parent or family member. Their feelings are important, but you should encourage them to have contact unless it will put them at risk. If a child doesn't feel listened to, they can contact an advocacy service, such as NYS, in England and Wales. Can a parent refuse contact, even if there's a child arrangements order? The child arrangements order is a legal agreement that states that the contact must happen between the other parent and the child. If they break the agreement, the parent can be taken to court. The only circumstance in which contact should be denied is if the parent believes the child may be harmed during the contact, and this will need to be proved in court. Can a parent refuse to allow their child contact if there's no order in place? Yes, they can legally. However, it is usually beneficial for the child's well-being if they are in contact with both parents and other family members. Parents need to be advised that what they decide should be in the child's best interest, not theirs. A parent can seek legal advice if they think they have been refused to contact unfairly. Do grandparents have a right to see their grandchildren? No, they don't have legal rights to see their grandchildren after family separation. However, in most circumstances, it can be organized with the parents. Otherwise, they can contact Grandparents Plus, who give support to grandparents in this situation. General advice on talking about difficult topics. It can be hard to have difficult conversations with children. However, these are necessary so that children understand what is going on and feel included. Why it's good to talk. Children need to have positive influences around them and people they feel comfortable asking for advice, who they can trust and talk to easily. This makes them feel safe and cared for, which is very important for their emotional health. They may need reassurance that the divorce or separation isn't their fault. It will also expand their knowledge of the situation and should help with their confidence and general well-being. As a family support worker, you can encourage parents to create this safe and loving environment for their children, and you can also provide this type of comfort to the children. Creating the right situation. Whatever needs to be said, it must be done at the right time and in the right setting so that children will be engaged and pay attention. Not the time when they are hyperactive or too tired to listen. If just one child needs to be spoken to, then it should be at a time when others aren't around, such as friends or siblings. The right setting will depend upon those involved and what will work best for them. Starting the conversation. It can be hard to start a serious conversation with children. If they are approached forcefully, they may get too nervous and not be able to speak or listen. However, if the conversation isn't focused, it may end up going off the track onto other topics. Plan what needs to be said and questions to ask them. A good tip is to make the conversation relevant, such as talking about someone they know, or a character in a TV show or book who went through a similar situation. Keeping the conversation going. The conversation might not go as planned, but that's okay. The child may not want to talk about it at that time, but might bring up the topic another time. Think about ways the content can be broken down into smaller conversations, maybe over different days. This will be more effective, as it won't feel like a lecture for the child and will help them digest what has been discussed. Listening is important too. Children need to feel listened to. Their feelings must be validated. Patience is required as they may feel nervous or thinking about how to express what they want to say. It's important to answer their questions honestly. Open-ended questions should be asked that will enable them to express themselves, such as how do you feel about your parents separating? They must trust you and feel you are there for them. Also, there are organizations such as Childline available. Talking about life-changing topics. Topics such as divorce or separation can be challenging and emotional for children. Remember that children may need reassuring that they aren't to blame and spoken to in a way which they understand, using simple language, if they are young. Before the conversation is brought up, it's important to plan. Who needs to be told? If there is more than one child of different ages, will they be told together or individually? Are there family members or friends that need to be told first? They can also provide emotional support. When and where will be best to discuss it? Somewhere where there won't be any interruptions. Plan for likely questions children will ask, so you can quickly answer them. Despite it being difficult to talk about, it may be beneficial for your relationship with the children, and it should improve your bond, communication and trust. Books to help to talk about difficult topics. Books can be a great way to help children relate to tough situations in a lighter way. These are some recommended books for different target groups. For parents and carers of younger children. How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk, by Del Faber and Elaine Maislish. This comprehensive book discusses many relevant topics, from resolving family conflicts, expressing anger without being hurtful, to dealing with a child's negative emotions. It even mentions alternatives to punishing children. Kid-Friendly Parenting with Deaf and Hard of Hearing Children, by Daria J. Medwid and Denise Chapman Weston. This book is ideal for parents or carers of deaf or hard of hearing children, aged 3 to 12. It lists hundreds of ideas and proven methods that help and is written in a step-by-step format. Playful activities are included, a fun way to help improve communication, relationships, and problem-solving skills. The Huge Bag of Worries, by Virginia Ironside and Frank Rogers. This illustrated book is a story about a girl with a big bag of worries who doesn't feel she can tell anyone. But once she opens up the bag and shares her anxieties, she feels a lot better. This book should help children open up about their worries and fears. The Incredible Years, a troubleshooting guide for parents of children aged 3 to 8, by Carolyn Webster Stratton. Advice for parents on managing problem areas, such as bedwetting and coping with their frustrations and anger. Also discusses the play and how to reward and praise children, encouraging good behavior. For parents and carers of teenagers, How to Talk So Teens Will Listen, and Listen So Teens Will Talk, by Del Faber, Elaine Maislish and Kimberly Ann Coe. This practical book is aimed at guiding parents through the teenage years. It advises on common areas of conflict, with an emphasis on excellent communication, to resolve challenging behavior and difficult situations. Queen Bees and Wannabes, Helping Your Daughter Survive Cliques, Gossip, Boyfriends and Other Realities of Adolescence, by Rosalind Wiseman. The author has extensive experience with teenage girls and uses her expertise to help parents understand the different roles teenage girls take on. Topics such as bullying, sex, alcohol, and drugs are discussed. The Connected Father, Understanding Your Unique Role and Responsibility During Your Child's Adolescence, by Carly Pickhart. Helps fathers with becoming more attentive listeners and how to talk to teenagers about topics such as sex, relationships, and the internet. It describes the emotional changes teenagers go through and how to set boundaries, whilst also encouraging them to be independent. What Can the Parent of a Teenager Do? By Michael Quinn and Terry Quinn. Focuses on improving communication with teenagers and how to manage conflict effectively. It details practical techniques that can be used and provides help to fathers. For professionals working with children and teenagers, Communication Skills for Working with Children and Young People. Introducing Social Pedagogy, by Pat Petrie. Targeted at any professional who works with young people, children and their families. There are case studies throughout showing how to have effective communication and relationships with young people through the ideas of social pedagogy. Topics include verbal and nonverbal communication, conflict resolution, and empathy. Listening to Children, A Practitioner's Guide, by Alison McLeod. Discusses various techniques for listening to young people and children, communication, and decision-making, and enabling young people to discuss their experiences. Includes reflective activities, children's quotes, and checklists. Summary. In this module, you have learnt: there are many ways you can help children deal emotionally with their parents' divorce or separation, such as reassuring them that their feelings are normal and they aren't to blame. That parental responsibility refers to the legal rights, responsibilities, and authority all mothers and most fathers have. There are several ways unmarried fathers can gain parental responsibility. How a court decides who the child lives with, and how the other parent can have contact, depending upon various factors. How to tackle having hard conversations with children, and that it's essential to plan it and listen. There are several books available to help with talking about difficult topics to children and teenagers.